Hello and welcome to the Motorland Aragon for the opening round of the 2014 FIM Sidecar World Championship. With last season's world champions not taking part, it's a perfect opportunity for a new winner to take centre stage this year. The 11 outfits lining up on the grid have already been through a gruelling qualifying to sort the day's order, with 2013's late season pace setters, the Birchall brothers, starting as they mean to go on. Further down the order, Jorg Steinhausen, Kurt Hock, Petri Makula all return to the series with new passengers, and Tim Reeves makes a welcome return to the competition after his sabbatical last year.
Qualifying was close, you know. We managed to get pole position, which is good, and we feel confident, but who knows, we'll just do our best and hope we can keep winning.
Qualifying was quite okay until the very last minute when the Birchalls caught us. But yeah, we went out of fuel, we did just 2 more laps than planned, so we couldn't fight back. But I'm pleased with the result in the first qualifying this year and hope for a good race.
No, we're not slower than last year, we are quicker, but only on 4th place. That's different. But it's the first 4 are so close together, so everything could happen. If we finish today on a podium, we are very happy.
So onto the grid, and it's time for that all-out sprint that's the first event of the 2014 Super Side. Watch out for the 16 LCR Suzuki of the Birchall brothers, the far right of the grid. Lights out and away we go in Aragon, and that is a flying start from the number 3 of Steinhausen and Kolsch, pushing to the inside to block out Reeves and Clues, who go for the mid-track down into the first turn and have the racing line and the whole shot. 3 outfits all colliding down into the first turn, so 3 outfits to watch for there. The 8 of Struer and Kurtz, the 99 of Makula and Asumanimi, and the 55 of Remps and Biggs, and we've got a position change down the order there as well. So immediately the 77 it is who's setting the pace. Reeves and Clues with a big old margin over the 3 of Steinhausen and Kolsch. They lost out in the first bend scramble, ended up back down in 3rd position, and then managed to get up the inside of Hockenbecker, who ran wide around turns 2 and 3. And that's the order now as it stands. The 77 of Reeves and Clues out in front. 2nd place at the moment for Steinhausen and Kolsch, the number 3. And then back in 3rd place, it's Hockenbecker, the number 12. What on earth happened to the pole sitters? The 16 of Ben and Tom Birchall, who are now looking around the outside to try and find a way past Hockenbecker. But after sitting in 1st place on the grid, they're down in 4th position early on. A really frustrating start for the pole sitters. The number 16 of Ben and Tom Birchall now getting up the inside of Hock through the fast section here. Sectors 3 to 5, the fastest on the circuit, includes a massive long straight here at Motorland Aragon. Might just be able to do it through this left-right section. Hock and Becker under real pressure now from the Birchalls, just trying to find a way, looking around the outside there. And now switching back to the inside line, we've got the main straight. That's the main passing opportunity. Out of turn 15, just getting things absolutely right, tucking into the slipstream of the rider ahead of you, and then firing your way up the inside, and that's exactly the move that the Birchall brothers are going to try and do on the inside of Hockenbecker, who tried to tuck back into the slipstream and run down the back straight. The riders approaching speeds of up to 270 kilometres an hour down this main straight. And it's the Birchall brothers, the fastest through the speed traps in qualifying, who've come past Hockenbecker to take 3rd position away. So your new order as it stands, the 77 of Reeves and Clues out in front. 2nd place, the number 3, Steinhausen and Kolsch. And now the Birchall brothers have got through into 3rd position, and look, immediately they've managed to open up a little gap between themselves and the 4th place, number 12 of Hockenbecker. The riders starting to settle down after the opening lap then. It's Reeves and Clues out in front, 0.7 the gap now to Steinhausen and Kolsch in 2nd position. They've gained a bit of ground, because in the early stages, on the first couple of bends of the opening lap, it was Reeves and Clues who looked totally in command. Now Steinhausen and Kolsch starting to chip away at that margin. The Birchall brothers were 2 full seconds back over the start-finish stripe, but you can immediately see that they're starting to gain ground on that. Look how quickly they've dropped Hockenbecker, 3 seconds down on Reeves and Clues, the race leaders, after the opening lap, but still the outfits pretty closely packed together after just 1 lap here in the Motorland Aragon. Getting close there between the lead outfit of Reeves and Clues and Steinhausen and Kolsch just behind them now, trying to find their way through turns 10 and 11, the fastest turns on the circuit. And there's no way through up the inside down into turn number 12. And now the battle seems to be more about second, because the Birchall brothers got a beautiful run off 10. Down 11, as I suggested, there's not really an opportunity to dive up the inside into 12 without ending yourself in total disaster. So the positions are still stable, but the gaps between the riders are coming down and down. It's the 77 then leading the way, Reeves and Clues, through the left-right sections here. And just about holding the racing line as the three tucks right in behind them. Steinhausen and Kolsch with an opportunity here. If they can get a good run out of turn 15, they might just be able to do it. Here they come up the inside line. They're going to make that move, make that lunge down the inside. And the Birchall brothers are trying to follow them through in the slipstream as well. Well, one outfit managed to get through. That's the three of Steinhausen and Kolsch, and they've taken the lead. Second place then for the 77 of Reeves and Clues. They're going to try and make a switch back here, but no opportunity to dive down the inside on turn 18. A very narrow, tight corner coming into that one, and after a right-hander of turn 17, no way through. But here the Birchall brothers might think about a move into turn number 1. They come around the outer block, the racing line down the inside, and the Birchall brothers were forced to go to the right-hand side down the braking zone, and then Reeves and Clues move back across to close that move out as well. So it's still the three of Steinhausen and Kolsch out in front. Having taken a 2:08.9 last lap around, Reeves and Clues were at 2:10.1. You can see the difference between the speed in the new race leaders and the team in second. And now that 77 outfit's going to come under pressure from the Birchall brothers. They were significantly slower last lap around than the two outfits either side of them. Steinhausen and Kolsch, as I suggested, a 2:08.9. Reeves 1.2 seconds behind on that last lap. And the Birchall brothers, the fastest lap of all last lap around, a 2:08 dead, 9/10 faster than the current race leaders as the pack bunches up. Reeves and Clues just thinking about a move there as they head back down into the main straight, and now it's where they're going to come under real pressure from Ben and Tom Birchall behind. The British pair lurch to the inside line, move alongside him very early down the straight. They've managed to make the move. That allows Reeves and Clues to have a little look back up the inside, but they just don't have the pace, and Ben and Tom Birchall pulling clear. They even think about a lunge up the inside of Steinhausen and Kolsch into the big breaking point of turn 16, the biggest breaking point on the circuit, but they couldn't get up the inside. The German pairing had the racing line, and it is still Steinhausen and Kolsch who lead it in the number 3 BMW outfit. Ben and Tom Birchall in the Crescent Suzuki back in second, and it's the 77 of Reeves and Clues slipping back ever so slightly in the last sector there, down in third position, but it's still the front three who are bunched very closely as they come back around. The Birchall brothers now then 28 1/1000ths of a second behind the race leaders, and they're just moving around in the braking zones now, starting to feel out a possible move. Oh, they've been nicked! They've been absolutely robbed. The 77 of Reeves and Clues, an opportunistic move up the inside that came from nowhere down into turn number 7, and then not able to repay the compliment there. The Birchall brothers just trying to feel their way back into the race around turns 9 and 10 now. This is the fast section of the circuit, and it's where Ben and Tom Birchall seem to be at their very best, but they got absolutely mugged there by the 77 of Reeves and Clues as they were moving around on the outside trying to feel a way past Steinhausen and Kolsch for the lead. They ended up being overhauled by the 77 of Reeves and Clues. What brilliant action we've had in the early stages of this FIM Sidecar World Championship for 2014, and now the Birchalls have got to work their way back through from that third position. Having already once done the move, they're going to have to do it for a second time because they were found out when they were looking for a way past the number 3 of Steinhausen and Kolsch, who have the lead out in front. Here's the best opportunity. A brilliant run off turn 15. A great burst of speed and acceleration as they come off the turn, and they've nicked that move very early. Can Reeves and Clues get back into the slipstream? Yes, they can. Will they have the pace to get down the inside, down into the big breaking point of turn 16? The answer's no, and Ben and Tom Birchall even covered it off by moving left before they even got into the braking zone, and have that done with a second block pass on the pair that's now stuck behind them, the 77 of Reeves and Clues. While that battle's going on, brilliant news for the 3 of Steinhausen and Kolsch out in front. They were only 0.3 of a second up on Birchall brothers last time around, but you can physically see that they've been able to open up a gap while the Birchalls have been battling with Reeves and Clues behind them. Great squabbling for the first 3 positions out in front in Aragon. The gap gap between these two outfits was half a second coming over the start-finish stripe last time around. You can see it's a whole lot less than that now as the Birchall brothers move up to the inside line. Oh my goodness, they've taken a move. No one would have expected a lunge into turn number 7. That was very brave indeed, but the Suzuki pairing have hit the front, and now the BMW duo are not willing to be defeated, lunging back into turn 8. The circuit then bends back on itself around turn 9, so Steinhausen and Kolsch have made the perfect move, but they're not to be outdone, and the Birchall brothers got back up the inside, just a little bit squirmy there from the Germans, and the Birchall brothers made the move on turn 10. Now Steinhausen and Kolsch looking up the inside into turn number 11, but the breaking point narrows into 12, and they've instead gone for the racing line round the outside. The Birchall brothers have got defensive. Steinhausen and Kolsch getting a better run off the turn. Around the infield section, 13-14 are the tightest turns on the circuit, and I don't think there's any way through for them there. The Birchall brothers covering it off with a wide move into turn number 12, and they've got it back to the inside for turn 13, and it's surely job done from there. And now that the Birchalls have got into clear air, they're trying to settle this one down. They were only 7/100ths of a second faster in qualifying, but from what we've seen so far, they're even stronger than that in race trim. Do they have the stamina to keep up that race pace though? Back down into turn number 1 for the 6th time. The main battle now seems to be over 2nd and 3rd. The 77 outfit having got right onto the back of the number 3 into the braking zone into 1. Through the fast left-handers at turns 10 and 11, the type of super fast track elements typical of a Hermann Tilke designed circuit. And these are the turns that are hurting Reeves and Clues. Their top speed about 10 kilometres an hour down on their main rivals. And now it looks like they're about 3 or 4 bike lengths behind by the time that they head into the braking zone. Steinhausen and Kolsch, under little pressure on the turns, can pick their own line safely without having to go too defensive. And again, they extend a small margin up in 2nd position, ahead of Reeves and Clues behind them. Down through the speed traps for the leaders. Still Birchall in front with the number 3 outfit in 2nd. Crucially this time around, Reeves and Clues are out of their slipstream. Last lap through the speed trap, tucked in behind Steinhausen and Kolsch. They set their best top speed on the gun. Now they don't have that advantage. They've slipped back further. The Birchall brothers over the line in front. Fastest lap of the race, 2:07.8, and they're really starting to kick on now, breaking the 1 second barrier for their race lead for the first time. The number 3 outfit now 12 tenths back, and the 77 8 tenths further in arrears, most of the time being made up through those fast sectors at the end of the lap, as I suggested, and I'm not really sure that there's anything that the others can do about that at all. The 16 pairing of the Birchall brothers in command here in Aragon. So it's still the Birchall brothers who lead, the number 16 outfit in command here. 2nd place Steinhausen and Kolsch, number 3, and back in 3rd the 77 of Reeves and Clues, starting now to slip back from the pace setters. We've seen that they've been setting consistently slower lap times than the front 2, so perhaps no great surprise. But now that they've been able to get themselves into clear air, undeniably the Birchall brothers the fastest pairing on this circuit, as they were in qualifying, albeit by a smaller margin. But their top speed down the straights has been significantly better than their main rivals, and that is hurting them. The Birchall brothers back around turn 16 after the speed trap and the final sector of the race. Another of their key assets and key strengths here in Aragon. But it is the Birchall brothers who lead the way. Ben Birchall, the driver, the 37-year-old from Mansfield, won his first World Championship race back in 2007. Looks like he might get another here today. Another new fastest lap of the race for the Birchall brothers. Last lap around a 2:06.9, and we're really talking about qualifying pace now. In fact, that time's actually better than their qualifying effort. Incredible stuff from them. No purple sectors, just a nice, consistent lap. Also proving there could be more to come, which is pretty ominous for their rivals as the gaps start to increase up to over 1.5 seconds now as the British pair took 3/10 out of Steinhausen and Kolsch through the first sector, and through the second, the gap looks visibly bigger still. Well, last lap around, Steinhausen and Kolsch managed a personal best, 2:07.1, but they still can't seem to stay with the Birchall brothers. The British duo looking to become first-time winners in Aragon. And the number 16 outfit now going into lap 9. The only question now is whether Steinhausen and Kolsch have anything left to offer. The only outfit still in touching distance of the race leaders. The Birchall brothers top 3 in the World Championship podium for each of the last 6 years. Tom Birchall, a passenger, the 27-year-old who joined his brother back in 2003. Ben Birchall with plenty of experience in sidecar competition prior to joining up in the Crescent Suzuki team. But it is these two who lead the way. The British pairing from the Germans in second position. Steinhausen and Kolsch still slipping further back in arrears. 2 seconds the gap over the start-finish stripe for the last time. And behind them, a further 4 seconds back now, the 77 of Reeves and Clues, who never really seem to have the pace of the front runners in this race. Fastest lap so far of the day from the 77 outfit, 2:08.3, and that compares pretty unfavourably with the 2:06.9, the fastest lap of the race so far from the Birchall brothers. Into the latter stages of this race now then, with the 16 outfit leading the way. Winners in the sidecar class at the Isle of Man TT last year, amongst the many honours that they've managed in their career. Now looking to take the big one, the world title in 2014. They certainly look to have the pace to do it at the back end of last season, and they seem to have the pace again at the start of 2014. They come back around turns 1 and 2 as the race leaders. The German duo of Steinhausen and Kolsch slipping back in second, and no pace from any of the other front runners to try and live with these two out in front in Aragon. Further down the field in fourth position now, the number 12 outfit of Hock Racing. They got amongst the front 3 into the early stages. Last lap around said a 2:10.2. The gap now sits at 10.5 seconds. The number 12 outfit 4/10 a lap slower than Reeves and Clues in third. 6 laps to the finish for the Birchall brothers out in front. They really seem to have this one under control. Purple through sectors 1 and 2. And last time around, the number 16 outfit set a 2:06.7, a new fastest lap of the race. 2.5 tenths faster than their previous best. You can see why they're coming around to lap the back markers. Around turns 10 and 11, a real high-speed section of the track. None of the other outfits can even get near the Birchall's benchmarks through here. Slightly slower lap this time around so far from Tom and Ben Birchall, having opened up that 4-second gap. Perhaps they're just content to maintain it now. As the British duo enter the final sector of the lap, you can physically see the extent of the gap now to Steinhausen and Kolsch in second. Birchall setting the fastest lap of the race last time around, some 4/10 faster than the number 3 outfit's personal best. The Germans pigging the gap now on lap 11 through turns 17 and 18. Steinhausen and Kolsch with some work to do if they want to get back into this race. Looks as though the Birchalls are just managing this one now. Pace of the race slipping off slightly in the latter stages as the outfits start to think about bringing home valuable championship points. 25, of course, for the race winners. The Birchalls, as I intimated earlier, setting their slowest lap time since lap 5 there in lap 11, but Steinhausen and Kolsch still slipping a tenth further back. The gap now 3.9 between the front runners. No more ground being made by the number 16 Suzuki through the first sector either. But it's through the fast sectors 2 and 4 in particular that the Birchells excel, and they're kicking on again on lap 12. A year ago, they could only manage 3rd position on the podium here in Aragon. They didn't have the mechanical power of their rivals, and it's a different story in 2014. The world champions of 2009 getting off to the best possible start to this campaign so far. Who would bet against them now taking a 2nd title as they head into lap number 13? Birchells setting a 2:07.2 last lap as they extend their lead again and now have a 5-second cushion to nurse over the remaining 2 laps. Further down the order, the lone Kawasaki of Reeves and Clues, 22 seconds back now from the race lead. The number 77 lapping a 2:11 dead on lap 12, the gap behind them pretty stable now at 8 seconds. Jörg Steinhausen are bringing that number 3 Suzuki around turns 16 and 17. Never a world champion, unlike his father who twice won the title during his own career. Some distance back from them, Reeves and Clues offering no real resistance in the bid for the silver medal. 3 clear packs having formed here in Aragon, and it's the 77 heading up the second of those behind the lead peloton of Birchall and Steinhausen racing. So the Birchall brothers lead it by 5.4 from Steinhausen in second, and Reeves now 25 seconds back. Only one passing move since lap 5, and that was out of shot for 5th position. The 56 of Rutzenhofer overhauled by the number 18 of Gurken Weschelberger, and there's still less than a second in that battle down the order. The number 12 of Hock Racing, meanwhile, somewhat isolated here in 4th place. And it's the Birchall brothers who'll lead the field into the final lap. After leading the last 10 laps, the number 16 outfit look almost untroubled. The gap now 7.1 seconds to second. And barring any mechanical issues now, it'll be Tom and Ben Birchall who will take the first event of 2014 and the 25 championship points that go with it. The number 16 outfit notched 7 poles and 7 wins last season, and it looks like they're going to notch another in front of the Spanish crowd today. Around turns 17 and 18 for the race leaders. They've done it the hard way, picking off 3 outfits to get to the front, but once they got there, they never looked troubled. The checkered flag is out, and it's Ben and Tom Birchall who win in Aragon. Out of the final turn, the number 3 of Steinhausen and Kolsch get second. They just didn't have the speed to keep up with the Birchall brothers in the end. And the final step of the podium will be claimed by the 77 of Reeves and Clues. Tim Reeves, the comeback man who at one stage led this race. The former champion will be delighted to be back on the podium after a year away. But what a great race from the number 16 outfit. The LCR Suzuki of Birchall Racing takes the win and the 25 championship points. Tom and Ben Birchall then take the win with a final victory margin of over 8 seconds to nearest rivals Steinhausen and Kolsch. Reeves and Clues complete the podium over 23 seconds back, but they had to work hard in the latter stages to hold back the attentions of Hock and Becker.
We've had a little bit more of an injection from Crescent this weekend, and that certainly helped it. Along with the preparations we've done over winter, John Baker's been tireless with it again, and we've got it now where it needs to be. I think there's probably still a bit more to find, but the race went great, and yeah, didn't get the best of starts, but we were quite confident that we had a good pace and had a real clean fight with Tim and Gregory, and also York and his passenger as well. It was great, and then we got clear and got our heads down and managed to pull a gap and just managed it. So just a great thanks to all the sponsors that's with us for this year, and let's hope we keep this up.
So a great start to the season for the Birchall brothers, who take a 5-point lead with them to round 2 in Donington Park. Hock and Becker doing well late on in Aragon to close back in on the final podium finish. They will hope that their momentum carries them into the top 3 next time around. But here in Spain, the honours are shared by Ben and Tom Birchall, last season's championship runners-up, who simply had too much pace for their rivals around the Motorland Aragon.